I've ever experienced in a relationship, because we were raw and we admitted our flaws and the things that we did to intentionally hurt each other. No one was around. It was just him and I. And he sat me down. He said, let's talk. And it was just out the blue. It wasn't planned. It wasn't we were arguing or we were mad. It was just a random conversation. And it clicked for us. And that was 7 years into our marriage. But the last 10 years, I can say we have fought every fight together. Mm-hmm. Before we were fighting against each other, but we knew we wasn't going to give up.
If you are in a relationship and facing obstacles, or single and considering marriage, take a moment to truly understand what this partnership and commitment really means. It's not necessarily about compromise, but rather about small daily sacrifices to elevate the other person and having those be reciprocated. I sat with my friends, Willie and Patrice Nash, and learned so much from them. They have a 17-year marriage, which is beautiful and seems to still be in the honeymoon phase. But in this episode, they bare their souls and take us on a journey through the obstacles that almost broke them apart. It was enlightening and therapeutic. And also, if I ever need reassurance that I am truly loved, I can always come back to this conversation and listen to my wife, Zola, talk about our relationship of only 3 years. Both marriages have their ups and downs, major differences, and uncanny parallels. Be sure to share this with your partner because you are not alone. And this conversation might just help you through some tough times. Welcome to Manhood Matters. Let's get to it.
In the living room, finds his voice. Four souls gathered, making a choice. Speak of life's great, no sugar to cope. From a black man's lens, each word a keynote. Mental storms, physical strife, hustling hard.
So this episode is going to be about marriage, about the relationships, the longevity. You guys have been together for 17 years?
It'll be 17 years this year.
Married.
All
right. So why don't we just start with that, right? We'll start with introducing yourselves and to see how long you've been married, and then Zola and I will go.
I am Patrice Nash. I am the wife of Willie Nash. Big Chill, as some have heard.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm Big Chill.
Husband.
I'm the husband of this fine young lady here.
All right.
17 years married, 29 years knowing you.
Really?
Yeah, 29 years knowing.
Wow. Hey, babe.
Around.
29 years.
Yeah.
I probably know you like 29 hours.
just about.
Yeah.
Married 28 and a half. So I'm your host, Stéphane, husband to my beautiful wife, Zola. Married, it'll be 3 years in September, and we've known each other just as long.
All right.
What I want to do is have the conversations about our relationships so that other people who are married, they won't see this as a blueprint, but they can at least kind of see, okay, well, we're not the only ones dealing with this. And other people who are not married, who are looking at marriage as something that eventually they will have in their lives, so they can kind of know what to expect. So let's start off with how you guys met. Take us back a little bit.
Well, we have two different versions of how we met, but Willie and I went to high school together. I was a freshman. He was a senior. He was Mr. Popular. I was not.
Were you a nerd?
Yes. I was a undergrad
So
nerd.
offensive.
No, in a good way, like a nerd. Like, you know, were you in the chess club?
No, I actually met him because I was the track manager.
You're what?
The track manager.
Okay.
So the football team would, they'll be running at the gym or outside on the track, and then we'd do weightlifting. So I got to see him because he was a football player.
She saw me in my uniform.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him in his suspenders and a white shirt and loafers and dress pants in 12th grade. That's how my husband was coming to high school. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So you're saying I've been fly for
You
a
was
long
debonair,
time.
baby. Ooh.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
No. We was like, you do the most. But he was a really, really cool guy. His best friend at the time was like really cool with me. So we would always run into each other. And he used to try to feel on my booty Fresh meat. That's what he thought he was getting. No, sir, shut it down. But over the years, we just...
That's how you did it back then, bro? Just like, let's feel it on booty real quick.
no, let me tell you how you would do it. He'd be like, hey, you gonna give me a hug? And I'll be like,
The hug, yes.
yeah.
Yes,
So
the hug.
then I'm short, and he was taller than me. He would literally pick me up by my booty and put on it. And I was like, are you serious? So I used to call him my teddy bear because he reminded me of Gerald Levert.
Oh. Romantic.
It was not romantic at all. It's like, you're so annoying. But I even wrote, it was ironic. Some people tell a story and they be like, oh, that didn't happen. But I pulled up my diary and I was like, Willie felt on my booty today.
I didn't know I made it to the diary.
Made it to the diary.
That's cute.
So, and then what happened? You asked her out eventually? Or you guys start dating in high school?
No.
Yeah, we never got together in high school. I had a little reputation. She would never give me the time of day other than just a little casual flirting here and there. I used to see her out sometimes, and I have somebody or she'll be with somebody as well. Just one person that she talked about all the time. That one night I seen her out, I was like, that ain't gonna work. Y'all ain't gonna be together. I ain't gonna tell you what I really told her.
I want to know.
Yeah, I really do want to know.
Okay, well, cool. I told her, I said, you just dick drunk.
What?
Dick drunk.
Dick whipped.
Yeah.
Digmatized.
Yeah, she was digmatized.
Dick whipped.
High five? Never mind.
Have I ever dicked you? You can't do it to somebody you're married with. You're like,
But pretty much, like, if you see a girl that's like crazed over a dude and you're just like,
You don't see-
why?
yeah.
You know what I mean? She's dick whipped. Like,
Yeah,
it gotta be the D.
yeah.
And it came from just hearing about him and conversations she would share about him. I said, oh, you'll be all right. So one night we were at Census nightclub. I was there by myself. She was there by herself.
I was not by myself. I was with Erica.
Well,
I had my fuck 'em girl dress on because the dick guy was done. I was done with the dick guy. Okay.
Well, I didn't know she was there with anybody else. I can remember.
No, you
I just
didn't pay
saw her.
attention to it. Yeah.
So that night we had a good time. I never had a number. We just used to see each other out, literally.
Yeah.
And that night I got a number. I think we danced a little bit.
You
Her
rubbed
feet
my
was
feet in the
hurting.
club.
I rubbed the feet in the club.
In the club.
Hey.
Yeah, and she had already had Thomas at the time. And I think he was about 6 months old. We've been together ever since.
Yeah.
That night, she was supposed to call me and let me know she made it home, which she did not do.
I did not.
She did not do. So the next day or the day after, I sent her a message saying, thank you for letting me know you made it home, or did you make it home, something like that.
It was a little smart ass remark.
Yeah, that
I was
sounds
like,
about
right.
okay,
Progression.
let me
Yeah.
call him and be like, I made it, my bad. And it was ironic. He called me or texted me when I was pulling into my garage. So I was like,
Oh, so it was the same night?
no, it wasn't.
Oh,
It just
when
happened. I was coming from work. I think
Gotcha.
it was that Monday. It was 2 days later.
Okay. Rest is history. We got engaged and married within a year.
Wow.
Started dating in December-ish, really in January. And then he proposed in April.
Yeah. And, and it came from from being in a harbor relationship prior to. Her relationship wasn't that great. Mine wasn't that great. And I think it allowed both of us to see what we kind of really wanted, and we came together at the right time.
Do you think your previous relationship as friends in high school, do you think that had a lot to...
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I can say that it did, because although everything was jovial and joking, I think that the way life sometimes is aligned, we weren't supposed to be together then to prepare us for, to go through whatever we went through to get to where we are now. But I never thought, really, honestly, in a million years, that we would actually be together. I was trying to get some,
Honesty.
That was true.
I also don't know what that's like, but go on.
And I was the type of person that I always got what I wanted. And I was just joking with her the other day, even though I didn't get you then, but I still got you. You know what I'm saying?
Took 20 years.
Yeah, it took me 20 years to
You
do
had
it.
to work for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy feat. No.
No.
It's like,
But yeah, so our paths came together at the right time, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had to do some soul searching. For me, it was a little different because I had Thomas. It made me look at the values of a man different. Because before I was dating to date. True transparency, I didn't have marriage on my list of things I wanted to do in life. I had been proposed to a couple of times before he had proposed, but I was like, marriage, not I. But I also didn't have my son at the time. And I didn't want to be one of those moms that brought men in and out of my life. But I appreciated that he was my friend first. So I didn't have to go through that awkward stage of getting to know somebody or not knowing their pedigree, because people can put on a portrayal who they're going to be for the first year and a half, 2 years. And then when that veil comes off, you see a whole different person. I didn't have to go through that stage of our relationship for the most part. We had some growing pains, but the blueprint of who he is and the fiber of who he was, I already knew. I knew his family. I knew where he came from. I can go back and my friends would be like, oh, that's just Willie. That's, we had a reference point. He ain't finna whoop my ass, is he? No.
Just making sure.
Right.
Babe, you want to tell our story?
Actually, no, you tell it better.
No, I don't know.
But just like you, I wasn't looking to date or anything like that. And honestly, I was just, whenever my son would act up, I'm like, okay, maybe he need a daddy, That's when I would start dating. And that's just an honest answer. Like, I wasn't interested. Like, I was cool with it just being, me and my kids. Mm-hmm. And I was perfectly fine with that. I felt like my son was at an age where he needed, that role model, because I tell Steph all the time, I'm like, a woman can't raise a man.
No.
Like she can raise him to have all the qualities that she feels like a man should have, but a woman could never truly raise a man. That's a man's job. So I felt like in that sense, like, yeah, we were ready, but moreover, it was just like, okay, let me actually get serious, because I am getting up there in age. So I was just casually dating, using these dating apps, one nightmare after another, so I was just chilling one day and I saw this guy. What was I on? Tinder? Mm-hmm. And
I was up there for another reason.
What was your reason?
Same reason you had when you
basically. So, I was like, oh, like he's handsome and this and that and blah, blah, blah. So I swiped right. Yeah, I swiped right. And then it said that we matched. And I was like, oh, okay. Did I send you the message first? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sent him a message. And then he responded. You can pick up from there.
Yeah, so I got a message. But see, so going back, I had never known about Tinder. And then a manager that came into my office when I was at ADT, he's like, I'm going to turn my Tinder on, because he's from Atlanta and he came to Memphis. So I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I got to turn this shit on. Every time I'm out of town, I turn it on. He's like, yeah, you don't want to mess with the people at home, but every time you travel. I was like, that sounds like a great strategy. Yeah, I was like, that sounds like a great strategy. So fast forward, I remember what the hell he said. Uh-huh. I'm now single and I'm going, I'm turning this shit on, but I don't want to mess with anybody where I was living. I was, in Memphis or whatever. So I was like, I'm going out of town. I'm in Florida. We were celebrating with the team. We had a good year. First thing I did, as soon as I plane landed, I turned this shit on and had a few matches. Because I was heading back home and I forgot to turn it off. That's when her message came through. A message came through and I was like, oh, this is someone I swiped right on earlier. I was like, hey, look, let me level with you. I'm not in town. I'm in Tennessee. So, and also she was one of the ones that I saw her message and I respected right away because she was very, very clear. And she used a word that, even though I've heard that word a million times, it never clicked. She used the word in her profile or her little description, intentional. She said, so for you to be with me, for you to even talk to me, you need to be intentional. So I was like, all right, I'm not a horrible guy. And you're telling me that, this is your life. This is what it is. I've got a dog. I've got an 18-year-old and I got a 10-year-old. I'm not playing around. I'm being intentional. So I was like, I'm not going to waste this one's time. Because I could have been like, yeah, I'm in Miami. I'll see you next week or whatever. But I was like, yeah, I'm in Memphis. Do you want to keep the conversation going? And luckily she said, yeah, let's talk. Let's see where it goes. She was like, hey, I didn't notice your age on there. So how old are you? Right. She thought I was a lot younger. But But hey, so there was no age on there. I wasn't lying.
But you're also searching for cooch. So
Yeah.
The age wasn't mattering.
Exactly. I was like, you don't need to know me that well. Not for this. You don't need to know about my life or nothing. But when she asked, I was like, I just turned 51. I'm recently divorced. At the time, I was counting my stepdaughter, so I have 5 kids. The next message was, wow, that's a lot. And I was like,
He's giving you the cliff notes. Okay, girl. It was like,
yeah.
It was like 12 paragraphs. And I'm like, that's a lot. That's a freaking lot.
You just unloaded.
Yeah, I did all
But
at
I
once.
appreciate transparency. Like, that's my thing. That's one thing I can appreciate about a person is transparency. Like, I'm very direct, very straight to the point. You ain't got to sugarcoat shit for me, right? So for you to be that's what I need. Don't waste my time. I don't need to date you 6 months. I need you to tell me all your bullshit right now.
Yep.
So I can decide if that's something I want to insert myself in, right?
Agreed. 100% agreed.
And the next message that I sent her was, I totally understand.
I get it.
I know what my baggage is. I was like, I totally understand. If you want to end the conversation, it's cool or whatever. And again, luckily, she didn't say, yeah, you're right. This ain't for me. So we kept on talking. And then I was just like, I can't do this Tinder shit and texting. So I'm picking up the phone. What's your number? And then we were on the phone for like hours every single night. She had to wake up and go to work. She had to wake up at 6 and we were on the phone till like 3 a.m.
Oh, wow.
No, it was real. Like I've been on dating apps. I've been on the Bumbles. I've been on Plenty of Fishes. I've been on the Tinders, and I've met some great quality men, right? But it's just I wouldn't even say necessarily attraction, but that chemistry, that feeling that you get when even in conversations. I just didn't have that with them. A lot of them became like really good friends, but yeah, you gotta be able to deal with me you just gotta know how to handle me, right? And none of them knew how to handle me.
Right.
When I came across Steph, it was very refreshing, and I'm not going to be the one to be like, oh, he has to have like this, he has to be this, he has to be 6 feet, he has to like that. All that is bullshit, because at the end of the day, 6 feet can only go so far, right?
Yeah,
it's
I mean, yeah. Truthfully, 6 foot did not matter.
You ain't gonna come up in
I'm
here.
sorry.
I fights for mine. Okay, I
That's
throw
right,
down.
that's right.
Okay,
Man.
but
I knew that was coming.
But I mean, it's not even that. I'm just saying, like, setting realistic expectation and how far it's going to take you in a relationship, right? A lot of women are single because they're not setting realistic expectations.
Exactly.
That's true.
Like you're looking for your soulmate said hi a long time ago, and you dismissed him because he was only making $50,000.
Right.
Right. So I was at a point in my life where I was who I wanted to attract. A lot of Steph's qualities, he's the complete opposite of me. And that's what also made that attraction so much more stronger because, just in speaking with him, things I would say, it wasn't necessarily girl, you can't say that, or a check me really quick. But he had a very mature, subtle way of spinning the words around. So it sounds a lot better. Like he'll say it back to me and I can actually like catch it. I don't know if you knew that, but you do that a lot. But you'll rephrase everything that I'm trying to say, and he'll say it in a way where, one, it's not as hostile. It's more, and maybe hostile isn't the right word, but not
As aggressive.
He would say it in a way where it feminizes me, and I interpret it, I take it, digest it, and I can give that back to him, right? So I know like my follow-up sentence needs to be a certain way. Like it wasn't, and it sounds like it's a mind game, but it was just something that just naturally occurred within my spirit.
So he basically like checks your tone without checking your tone.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Or like I just say things, and again, he'll just regurgitate it back at me in a way where it's more human, more, more understanding. And then I can write off that, and it's the rest of the conversation can flow.
Okay.
If that makes any sense at all. Yeah, it's just those little things in conversation that really stood out for me. That's just like, that's captivating. Like these dudes weren't captivating me like that. Like it just wasn't there. So to come across Steph, even though that long list of his shit list, like immediately, because I don't like drama. I don't like any of that, right? But it's presented in a way that I could handle. So it's up to me to be like, he has kids, but guess what? I have kids too. They're workable things. Like these are things that can change and grow within a relationship, which is why I was just like, yeah, let's continue talking.
Right.
And in those conversations, it's just like, wow, wow. Like I loved Steph before I met him.
Oh, wow.
Like those are the conversations that we were having. Like he was feeding and my soul and like pouring into me. Like this was like, by the way, it's like 2 weeks in.
Smooth operator.
No, but like I'm saying, like me, I'm the type of person, like we don't need to waste time. I don't need to find out 6 months from now that you got bad credit. We knocked that out. First conversation, finances, all that stuff. Like let's knock that stuff out. Because to me, like this is all the shit people need to know up front.
Yeah.
Right. We don't need to commit a whole year to each other, then go try to get a place to realize both of us fucked up. Right? Like, no, we need to establish that before and continue to work on it so we can get to where we need to be at that point. Right? So it's like all these conversations that we were having, they weren't just, oh man, you so fine. What you ate for lunch? Like it was none of that stuff. It was legit getting to know each other, like for real, the questions
Real
that people,
substance.
the questions that people take too long to ask.
Yeah.
We already asked that like first 48. So we were able to move on from there. And then it's goals. And it was just some real conversation, like intense conversation. And yeah, like I said, like I loved Steph before I even met him.
Willie and I had long conversations as well because we didn't have to go through that getting to know you stage. So he knew my biggest thing was my child. He had to pass a test. So Thomas was 6 months, 6 months. So, at that stage, they're kind of like finicky around certain people. So I let him come over to meet Thomas. Full transparency, I was living with my child's father, but we were not together. Like he was living on one side of the house, I was on the other.
You roommates.
Yeah, we were strictly roommates.
He just happened to be the daddy.
Yeah, and we had bought a house together that Willie would not finance me for because he said that shit ain't gonna last. So I went to him.
Yeah, I was a
first.
loan officer.
He was a loan officer.
He's like, I'm
not approving that shit.
I'm not approving this shit.
Shut
Oh
me
my
down,
God.
like full throttle. And I was like, I
Oh
know.
my God.
I was like, I know I can get approved. Now you can't get approved. I'm like, damn. When I was by myself, you said yeah, but now I bring
I ain't
him
even
in
want
the
that
office. It's like, nah. So anyway, we got a house together, and it's not as easy to get out of the house. So we were roommates, but let him come over to see Thomas, and Thomas fell in love with him. Like, I was like, my son doesn't even like men. Besides my dad, his dad and my brother, but everybody else he would never go to. But that one, he went right to. Like they played together.
You
Did my son
had a good spirit.
You did have a good spirit, and that's what I
do
wanted.
have a good spirit. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to check to see. Like that was my post check, where it wasn't necessarily finances, but it was more, how are you going to be with my son? I used to hear everybody say, don't let him get to know your child too soon, but I'm like, that's my reality. Every day I'm a mother. That's not something I can turn off. So
Interesting take.
And it
Yeah.
definitely wasn't the finance, because when we met, I was living with my mother.
he was living with his mom, but it was the market at that time was getting ready to tank. That's when recession was hitting. Mortgage recession was hitting. And loan processing, loan officer wasn't making as much, but he was always better at finances at that time than I was, because he had built a huge saving. And he was a go-getter. It didn't stop him from working. He was like, this is not giving me the amount that I want. I'm spending more money and I don't have anybody at home. Might as well live with my parents. So I knew the reasoning why. So I was like, you're not a bum. You've lived out on your own before. You can maintain your life, driving a nice car. Not saying that, that mattered, but I knew he could pay bills. He showed that he had the ability to pay bills. So that wasn't a big flag for me. Like I said, it was just really how he interacted with my son. And my son got RSV right around his birthday, the weekend of his birth, closer to his birthday.
What's RSV?
Respiratory syncytial virus, where if he would have been probably a month later, he was to the point where it could have been deadly. So they have better treatments now, but during this time, he had to go into the hospital for about a week and get steroids. And he checked on me every day, came up there to see him, bought him like a little stuffed animal that my son kept forever.
Yeah.
He was like checking on me, checking on my son. And I saw that quality, like he didn't have to.
Right.
We're
Especially just dating.
right. And I wasn't giving him any because he still had to work for it, even though he didn't get that ass. But I had to see all these qualities, and I'm seeing him do more than the person that I thought should have been there. And they wasn't showing up the way that I thought. And I'm like, you're not, that person's not even checking on me. But this one is always making sure I'm good. And even after, because he was the one who kept him and held him the night that he was like really going through it and stuff with me. So that tugged at my heart too. Then he painted my whole house.
You was working for it.
And I'm sitting here thinking about it now. You still owe me something. I need.
That got him some ass though. He painted the house. He painted the whole after my child's father moved out. He painted the house like this. I mean, yeah, it was not a small house. It was like he had to paint all the rooms with me, kitchen, everything. I wanted everything painted, and he did it with me.
Willie, when did you know that she was the one? Obviously, it was courtship, but at some point, you were just like, "That's my wife."
I can say from the night at the club at Census.
Really? So the rest of it was like super genuine. Yeah, you weren't trying to get anything. There was no agenda other than that's my woman, that's my wife.
Yeah. I knew. Like I said, because once I went through that bad relationship and I had time to think about, okay, it's not just about sex anymore. What do I want going forward? What do I want my future to look like? And for me to go in knowing that she had a 6-month-old, knowing that the dad's still around, as limited as I felt that he was, knowing that I still wanted it. Like I said, it was a real choice, to be there, because some men just walk away from that, but I knew, knowing her, and it could have been something from high school, because we always came back to each other some kind of way.
Yeah.
Whether she's at a restaurant, I walk in the restaurant, she's at the bar with her girls. We flirt a little bit, and I go somewhere else and I see her again.
Yeah.
It's like we always kind of saw each other. So when the opportunity came to really focus on what I wanted, I mean, it was easy to kind of revert back to her. And I think that seeing her that night, I was like, I can't let her go this time. I'm going to get her.
Yeah.
But what were you looking for in a woman, or what was lacking? Or maybe lacking isn't the right word, but what was happening in your life where you were just like, nah, I need this one. What did she fulfill for you?
Well, it was the conversation and the intellectual aspect of her. Whereas before, I had the long hair, light skin, nice shape. I had a real type, and that's all that I would deal with. So she was different from what I was accustomed to.
So you had to step over to the dark side.
I stepped over. Right, exactly right.
It's okay. We know. Yeah. We know. We typically do it.
Amen.
So
same this one. You got time? We typically do it.
No.
Baby, please.
I did not go after them. They came after me. It's different.
Oh my God.
did not have a type.
I'll tell you a quick story.
Willie.
I'll go back to us dating, but let me tell you a quick story. Willie and I were at the mall one time. His mom had just passed, and his sister, him and I were at the mall getting ready to find something to wear for the funeral or whatever. He's sitting on the bench, and I go into the loft or something looking for something to wear. I come back out. It's this little petite, long hair, bright light skin girl. He like, no, I'm good. I like, see, little bitch. And I told him, I can't take you nowhere. And from now on, you stay right here. And that was the second one. So the bad relationship he was in, we were at Macy's right before that. And another girl, like her friend, saw him and immediately got on the phone with her friend, because we could hear her on the phone. He was like, shit, that's such and such friend. And I'm like, okay.
And to go back a little bit, there was no substance behind that. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, she was smart. She liked to read books all the time. It was just something that was totally different that I knew that I needed in my life, because I needed to grow. I was always an entrepreneur. I had the entrepreneur mindset, but being around someone who can educate me and help me, and I'm seeing the things that she's doing for herself, and then she's pouring into me and giving me different ideas or different ways of looking for things, that became more important to me than the superficial stuff.
But it doesn't hurt that she's fine.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
That's icing on the cake.
Yeah, I mean,
That she's
I was
not.
a looker.
you know,
I just was a little darker.
yeah, I mean that helped out tremendously. So I can get this and get this.
Exactly.
But I will say, honestly, I wasn't all innocent either. Like, we grew up in Memphis, and Memphis is a big city, but it's a small town. So I don't know if that makes sense, but everybody knows everybody. So by us going to high school, we had overlapping friends. And when we said we were getting ready to get married, mind you, we had just started dating, and people were like, wait, first of all, we didn't even know they were dating. Second of all, they married each other? How is this going? So I think it was a few bets out there that we wouldn't last. Because they were like, you married to who? And it wasn't just on his side. It was on my side too. Because again, marriage was not on my list of things. And I just out doing my thing. I was like, I don't have a care in the world. I'm living my best life. Like he said, I had my own house. I had my job. I had been working since I was 14. And I go out, hang out with my girls, and go to happy hour, do what I wanted to do. But again, I think my son slowed me down, and I stopped going to the club, and I started, like you said, being very intentional. And I didn't get an opportunity to be too intentional because he popped up right. I was like, well, damn, stopping me again.
Sometimes when I really feel like when you put certain things out there in the universe, you said, okay, I'm going to be intentional. Has a weird way of just bringing that to your doorstep.
It
does.
I believe you pray things into existence. I've lived that through my whole life. I don't know how people are with their religion, but I am one of those people. When I get into a sticky situation, I ask the Lord, like, if it's not for me, take it away. And he didn't take him away. He's never gave me that insight to say that he was the one that I needed to remove from my life. If anything, my dad loving him was huge too. His mom was like, take care of my baby. And I would go over his mom's house more than I would tell him. Like, he'll call me, be like, hey, where y'all at? And I'd be like, oh, I'm at your mom's house. He'd be like, I ain't even over there. I'm like, well, I am. So, and this was like when we first initially started dating, and I would hang with her and my mom, back and forth. So
that's awesome. What's something about marriage that's happening that you did not expect, being that this is so fresh for us?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Again.
I get it. I 100% get it.
Sharing my bed, going in the bathroom and somebody already in there.
Just like your presence. I wanted marriage, but I didn't know you'd be in it.
You're in my space.
You're in my marriage.
Right?
Oh God.
I think it's being forced to relinquish that selfishness, being comfortable with losing space. Because again, I was alone for a very, very, extremely long time, So it's like all these things that I'm accustomed to. It's like now, okay. The thing about Steph is I wanted him in my space. So navigating through that was easy for me, but I think difficult for him because remember, he was living in Memphis. I made him sell his house and move to Florida to be with me. So he gave up initially, he gave up a lot. Now it's like, okay, what can I do to make it our space? Because again, everything in there is already set up. So it was more trying to make him feel welcomed, if that makes any sense, than being an outsider or feeling like he's just living with someone and not having like his own identity in that space. Navigating through that was a challenge in itself. Me now not being head of household and shifting my life in a way where, because I have that male presence, I'm no longer head of household, right? So shifting that mindset. And I have 2 kids, letting them know, like, this is who's in my life. This is who's going to be here. I mean, they knew that before he moved in, right? But things were moving really, really fast. Like I said, we loved each other at 2 weeks. Then we met another 2 weeks later for Valentine's Day. And then we did I would fly to Memphis for extended weekends. And then by month 3, March 18th to be exact, we were engaged. So that's like we were like at the speed of light. So a lot was happening.
A bit faster than that.
Yeah, like a lot was happening that neither one of us were prepared for. For us, it felt normal. It felt right.
It really did.
It didn't see, from the outside looking in, I could see where it was a tad bit crazy. Like, you okay? Blink twice. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can see the outside perception, but us being in it, like everything just seemed normal. This is what we're supposed to do, right? So for me, when something is supposed to happen, it's easy. But then when something isn't supposed to happen, there's a lot of obstacles along the way that you have to force things to make it work. Again, back to, everything being rushed in a sense, not rushed for us, but from the outside looking in, everything seemed rushed. But for us, it was just like moving at the pace that it should. Right. So I didn't have any objections to that. And then engaged in March. We were married in September. We dated for a year. No, we were dating, through it all right into marriage. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy now I'm saying that shit.
No, I 100% agree with that. It has its growing pains doing it that way, but you're growing together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then also, I think, again, people wait that long year or 2 years because, again, they're trying to figure out all the things that they should have just asked up front.
Right. They're waiting for those red flags to see if they're going to appear and all that stuff, or filling it out. And I'm a strong believer, if I didn't know within 3 to 4 months, of us dating, there was no point.
I will say one thing that happens that's interesting too is like we all have a unique stories, and even though you guys knew each other a long time, when you got together, you just said we're gonna fast forward through all this. You didn't think it just organically happened. Right. Same with us. We met and it was just like boom, boom, boom. It feels like we'll joke like last year how anniversary came and we were like, what year is this? Like it feels like it's year 10. We've been together, but in a good way. Nothing like, oh my God, it's been forever. More like we've known each other and we feel like we've gone through a whole lot. Yeah. And if there's been any kind of doubt, it hasn't really been doubt about who we are and what we're meant to be to each other. It's more like the logic kicks in, right? So something happens and we're beefing about something. It's just like, should we have taken more time? Did you ever think of that at all?
I mean, we're beefing now.
Yeah, I know. You'd never know it. Yeah.
But here's the thing though. In Steph, right? I have my best friend. Mm-hmm. I have my husband. Mm-hmm. I have my road dog. I have my advisor. I have, my spiritual leader, someone who prays over me every single day. So I have all these things. Right now, as husband and wife, we beefing mad right now, right? Like real bad. But he's also my best friend. Like right now, I'm having this conversation with my best friend. Yes, my husband, but this is my best friend, right? We'll handle husband and wife stuff later, but in Steph, I have everything. Mm-hmm. And I know how to separate certain things. Like, yeah, I could be beefing with my husband, but it's like having a split personality, Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm beefing with my husband. I'm not even talking to him right now. I'm talking to my best friend, right? So it's like I have everything that I need in Steph. And then shit happens and it's just knowing how to navigate through it. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going anywhere. Right. Yeah. And if our marriage doesn't work, it's because you wanted to leave. Yes, things happen, but I'm never like, oh, damn, maybe we should have waited. It's part of the growing pains that you're talking about. There's so much more to him, so much more to us that totally outweigh the cons. Yeah. And then when you find someone who is your everything, and I'm not saying everything like I've lost my identity and it's all about this man or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But when you find someone who fully completes you, and I'm not saying like you can't be complete on your own, but when something in you clicks, that you are officially complete. I've had that click. I don't make poor decisions. Me saying, because I've been married before, to myself, but I mean, technically it was another person, but it's like being in a marriage by yourself. And that was something I never wanted to experience again. So me making the decision to be married and be with someone, that's huge for me. And that's a commitment. That's not something I'm going to walk away from. And for me to make that commitment, it has to be the right person.
Yeah. Though we got married young. Like I was 27, you were 30.
Young.
That's young for me. Yeah. it's still men out here bopping at 35, 40, trying to figure out what they want. And then for 27, for me, I was only 4 years out of college. I guess that's when people were trying to decide what they want, but it's hard.
No, like usually for women,
Who was starting low? That was a good time. I stopped starting at 24 because the child was born.
oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So I stopped at 24, but
And that's usually the age women start to.
Really?
Yeah, women
That's
get
what you said.
men trap women like really soon.
Yeah.
Like
Y'all
really
do?
soon. Yeah,
I
they
had
trap
some
us
more
real
play in
soon.
me. I'm
No, think
sorry.
about it. Like statistically, I mean, even look at it. A lot of young black women in their 20s already have their first kid in their 20s.
they were doing that.
See, but you were on a different path. Like that wasn't your path. But statistically, right now,
Yeah, that's right.
a lot of women in their 20s have kids.
That's
Yeah,
true.
They're
that's
trapped.
true, but
Yeah.
no. I had some bop in me. It's about that life. No, I'm just playing back. No, I'm just playing back.
No, she's not.
But when we got together, well, let me back. Right before we got married, his mom passed. I developed a super close relationship with her.
Yeah.
And he had lost a significant part of him. She was that wife that every woman aspires to be, as far as taking care of home, providing for her kids, cooking her husband a meal. That goes into, me being always in her space, trying to learn things that she was doing, because that's what he was accustomed to. But he was grieving during our rest of our time of getting married, like to the point where we thought we pushed the wedding back some.
Yeah.
But he was like, nope, we're getting married, going to hold steady. I was like, okay, cool. But into our marriage, for the first 3 or 4 years, he was still grieving. And he wasn't grieving healthy, because he would cope with hanging with his family, because that's who had the most memories of his mom. Because mind you, I only had like a year of memories of her.
Yeah.
His sister, his cousins, everybody else.
It was a lot of coping with alcohol and drugs.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't
to
gonna
be
put that
honest.
out there, but
Well,
yeah.
I opened that door because now, as you're saying that, it made me think about some things that you probably just really didn't know that I was really going through with that, and it kind of, the first couple of years of being married,
It was dark.
I wasn't married, if that makes sense. It was just, I wasn't focused on the wife. I wasn't really focused on the kids. I was just out enjoying life, doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Coming home 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, partying. And it was how I coped with losing my mother. I didn't really get to know my kids and when we moved to Georgia. Now, I came home every night, but I missed the events.
Yeah.
I didn't do homework with them. I didn't really talk to them all the time. I laughed with her for a little bit, throw her up in the air and play with her a little bit, but I was trying to get out. I was chasing something that made me feel better, I thought that was making me feel better in the absence of my mother.
Yeah.
And that was the party, being around my family. I mean, I think I probably drank a fifth of Hennessy a day. Just coping with that. And that wasn't fair to the family. That wasn't fair to them. But that's what I felt that I needed at the time. So once we moved to Georgia, which in hindsight was the best thing that
You're
ever
a
happened
different
to me.
person.
I'm totally different.
I know you from Memphis.
Yeah.
And I know you now.
Yeah.
And loved you then, but the person that you are now, someone I look up to, and I always say it. I'm like, just like the things you've accomplished, and even your relationship is a beautiful thing to watch.
Like you remember him, like you heard about us, but you didn't know about us.
No,
you
of
knew
course.
about Ernest or his best friend.
Exactly.
You knew about his sister. Those people, and it was okay. Well, it wasn't okay because it left me lonely. But I had my children, and I protected them. And we'll be very honest, like the way we got here to Atlanta was me saying, I gave him a warning shot. I said, hey, you're not putting me on a pedestal. I don't feel like I'm number one priority in your life. And he was like, what do you mean? Blah, 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 blah.
I was angry too.
I date you. We go on dates. I was like, no, I don't feel like I'm a priority. And then he'll get mad and storm out. And I'm like, you're just going to your sister. I would make smart comments like, you just finna go to your sister's house. And that's where he would go. And he would hang with them all the time. And it wasn't about me. You knew how much money he was making at that time. I didn't know. So it was a substantial amount of money, and I wasn't seeing it in the house. I would have to find things for the kids to do. They went to the fireworks shows or the zoo, whatever we decided that weekend we were going to do, park or whatever. He was like, I'm not even in y'all circle. I'm like, but we're not excluding you. You're excluding yourself. You can always come. So we had a huge blowout right before we came to Atlanta because we went out to dinner and I said, hey, there's a potential that I can get a job in Atlanta. What do you mean? I said, well, I have numerous places where I could go. Tell me where you want to go. And I listed the places, and he chose Atlanta. But in his head, he didn't think that I could actually do it. Because at this time, that ego was playing in, and, he's the breadwinner, and he's making this money. But again, I'm not seeing that money. So I can't make my decisions about my kids' well-being and my life based off of you at this point. I went on and got the job. He was like, I'm not leaving. I was like, okay, well, that means you can come visit the kids on the weekends. I can send them back however you want to do it. And this is my voice while we're sitting on the couch. He's sitting in one couch, I'm on the other.
You had time to, I'm gonna guess that you probably replayed that conversation in your head before it happened.
Yeah.
So you just knew.
I already knew he was finna come angry.
This is my approach.
Yeah. I knew I was standing my ground. I knew all that. And then he said, I'll never forget, he told me, you act like you don't even need me. At this point, I don't. He was like, you just need a boyfriend that you can fuck. I was like, maybe so.
You angry, dude.
So he was
coming. All kinds of shit.
He was coming with it hard. And I was like, maybe so.
And Steph knows some of it because I talked to him about,
He came to the office and closed the door one day, so he was dark.
Yeah, he was pissed. Like, he went to everybody to find validation in his point, and he couldn't find it because everybody knew you need to choose your family, but he couldn't see it. And I was removing him from his comfort. And then his dad and my dad told him, you need to follow your family, man. That was one of his arguments. I can't leave my dad. And dad was like, I'm good. Go. And so it was. After a while, his family, I'm not going to lie, his family gave me hell.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just now going back around some of them because they gave me so much. I was like, dang, y'all coming hard.
And then my grandmother, you don't follow a woman.
Yeah.
You the man. You need she needs to follow you. And that was some of the stuff my uncles and even my dad, was saying.
Yeah.
So that added to it how, no, I'm not going. You need to stay. So I called a bluff. And like she was saying, she was like, well, you can.
Nah, she wasn't bluffing.
No.
I wasn't.
No, she was.
Were you this calm when you were letting him? Yeah. No.
I never raised my voice. I didn't go off on him. He got so crazy. He listed some ridiculous things that he wanted in the house. Like, I want my own.
We ain't got a whole lot of time.
Oh, wait. Hold on. He said, I want my own office. I want to have the entrance of my office separated. I want a basement. I want this. You know what God did? Gave him all that and more.
Ain't that so?
And his ass couldn't do nothing but say, damn.
Guess I'll start packing.
It wasn't even on the list of houses we were going to go see.
Yeah.
Our realtor called us and said, hey, I think I got the perfect house for y'all. It's not even on the market yet. We went to see it. We signed that same day and boom. But it took us getting here and then having one of the hardest, most brutal conversations I think I've ever experienced in a relationship. Because we were raw and we admitted our flaws and the things that we did to intentionally hurt each other. No one was around. It was just him and I. And he sat me down. He said, let's talk. And it was just out the blue. It wasn't planned. It wasn't we were arguing or we were mad. It was just a random conversation. And it clicked for us. And that was 7 years into our marriage. But the last 10 years, I can say we have fought every fight together. Mm-hmm. Before we were fighting against each other, but we knew we wasn't going to give up on each other. We just was riding the shit out till the wheels fell off.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that the idea of fighting every fight together.
Yes.
I always say, to me, it's whatever problem is, whatever arises, it's not me versus you, right? It's me and you versus the problem. The problem is here, it's ugly. Sometimes it's my fault that the problem even exists. Mm-hmm. Right? Sometimes it's not. But
what you trying to say?
It's always my fault. What I say? Every time the problem comes,
it's your fault.
It's my fault, right? However, the problem takes on a personality of its own. It exists. So now it needs to be you and I who are facing that problem and saying how we're gonna
navigate through it.
Yeah, and I love what you said earlier when you are able to compartmentalize different aspects of our relationship. I never thought of it that way, and it's like it was clicking. Yeah.
And I heard it marriage put this way, and this is the best way to explain it. Marriage is basically two imperfect people who refuse to give up on each other.
That's right.
Your goal in marriage, and this is what we've been living by for the last 10 years, is we wake up, first of all, thanking God that we did wake up, but choose to do something to elevate that person so they can have a great day. And then as long as it's reciprocated, that was one of the good recipes that we kind of put together and kind of did daily.
Yeah. I always go in his office if I know he's frustrated. I'll do something silly. Or I may come hug him and he'd be like, I don't want to hug. I don't want to hug. And I'm like, no, energy transfer. Since you're a little aggressive right now and I'm not, give me a hug. And he'd be like, I don't want to hug. And it calms him down. Because I do believe in energy. Because if he gets too frustrating, and I'll be like, you're messing up my energy. Like, you're bringing your negativity over here. So I'm gonna need you to go away from me because I refuse to be in that space. And it brings him down, just making him realize and reflect on where his mindset is right at that moment. Like I told him what the other day, you woke up choosing violence. Yeah. I was like, you just woke up, man. So we found these little tricks because we both work at home. So we're not apart a lot. Like, we went from in Memphis where we barely saw each other. I probably saw him like 3-4 hours out the day. And that's like when he getting up, getting dressed to leave,
right.
And then
Yikes.
But it wasn't, and
I get home off work and leave before she got home.
He'll wait for
selling
Mary
system,
to go to sleep, Mary and Thomas to go to sleep, and then he'd be gone. It was like, I wasn't mad
at him. I can't believe you dealt with me like that.
No, you dealt with me too, because I wasn't perfect. I didn't give you a safe space either because I shut down.
Yes.
He would leave the house at, let's say, 10 a.m. I wouldn't call him at all because you left. So I don't care. You out there in the streets, be out there. So I didn't give him a safe space. And he said, well, my cousins' wives, they all called and checked on them. I'm like, oh, okay. So that was my Gemini side of me coming out saying, I don't give a fuck what you do out there. But that wasn't what he needed either. And he kept telling me that he needed somebody to be that reassurance. And I couldn't give him that because he wasn't making me feel safe anymore. And I saw the things that he was going through, though he thought I didn't. I saw the receipts. I saw, the drunken stupors and, smoking weed a lot. And I was like, this is a lot, but it's okay.
And this is the growing pains that we were talking about. Yeah. We learned each other in the marriage. But again, the most important thing about it is that although we was having these challenges, we never gave up on each other.
Right.
It's the best relationship, which it should be in my marriage, that I've ever had. My guards are totally down.
Yeah.
I'm more vulnerable than I ever been.
Yeah.
We didn't, like I said, we didn't talk about money. My money was my money. Her money was her money. We put what needed to be in the account to pay the bills. If the bill was $95.22,
he put
I put $95.22.
Not 23, not 24. He wasn't rounding shit up. 95.22.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And
so at what point did finance become something that you guys opened up about?
When we got here.
Because everything changed in Georgia.
Yeah,
Willie 2.0.
Yeah, everything changed in Georgia because I was pulled from an environment that I was accustomed to, that I was comfortable with. So we came here and we didn't have anybody but each other. So I couldn't go to my sister's house and stay over there tonight. We fought it out, talked it out, or whatever we needed to do because it was just us. I think that the death and the sickness and just realizing that she's my best friend. Now I don't do anything without her. I call her and tell her.
He shared his location with me.
I did not share my location.
When did that start?
Last year?
Yeah, damn. So 16 years.
Well, let me say, before then, only reason why he didn't share his location because he never shared it with anybody. Yeah. And he got mad because he was like, where such and such? I was like, oh, let me look at their location. He was like, wait a minute. Why am I the only one that don't have their location? I said, because we don't have yours. So unless you want to share,
so funny.
If you want ours, and it was just because of that privacy, not because he was doing anything, because hell, he was at home. It was just like, okay, let me share it. And I was like, oh, okay, we get your location. You could be, that's the final straw of being in our circle.
So I'm totally in it.
Totally. Yeah. No, but I'll never forget the pride conversation with finances came up. Okay, for one, I've never paid our utility bills since we've been together. I failed us one time and the lights got cut off. It wasn't even about having the money. I forgot to pay the shit. Okay? So he was like, from here on out, you'll never pay a utility bill. Never look at them. Don't even know how much they cost. I don't know anything about them. So his money came up short. This was when we first moved in. And, you know, he's 100% commission. He was like, hey, I just need you to pay this utility bill. And it ate him up that I didn't send him the money. I just went online and paid it. And he was like, what, you trying to say I can't pay the bills now? I was like, what the fuck does this mean? I was like, I thought I was being helpful handy over here.
I was in my feelings.
He was. He was in his feelings.
It's tough to ask.
It was tough
so
for him to
hard.
ask. And then it hit him harder because he wasn't logging in to pay it. And I had never done it before. Yeah. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to be so self-sufficient and I'm going to do it for him so he have one less thing to worry. Never again have I paid the utility. It was a hard conversation for him because ADT in Memphis and ADT in Atlanta was totally different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the amount of money he was making plummeted substantially. He was like, wait, I gave up all this for our family. So we had to have real conversations about finances. And it was a tough period for us, but we got through it through conversations. You know, it wasn't like as soon as we moved to Atlanta, all glorious. It took us probably another year or two. That's the total of the 7 years. It took us about another year or two to like really figure it all out. And then we were like, okay, we got this. We're good.
I'm gonna say something, and in that conversation that we had, I had to admit that part of it was the fact that I was being resentful because I had to move to Georgia. So I put a lot of pressure on her for the bills and money. I didn't probably go as hard as I could because I didn't want to be there anyway. So I'm like, you got us here, you figure it out.
Oh wow!
If we need some money for something, I don't got it. I don't got it. Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
You said, I don't get it. Like, and I never yelled at him. I never got mad. I was hurt a little bit in my feelings behind the scenes. So when he admitted that, I cried because it validated what I was feeling that whole time. Like, it just don't seem like he cared enough for me. And I told him, thank you. Instead of going off and getting mad or any of that, for you to be man enough to sit here and tell me I was being resentful, I forgive you. I'm your wife. I know I'm going to be the one that's going to carry us sometimes. And if I was in it just for the comfort or the glorious days only, I wasn't never in it the right way.
It's not marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
So I respected him enough to understand you broke me in finances. You grew in your relationship with the children. That was my biggest driver with him. He was missing critical times in our kids' lives. I get our son, but a daughter needs to see how her dad shows up. Mm-hmm. I needed him to date her. I always told him, you have to date your daughter so she can understand what's out there in this world and what to expect from a man.
Yeah.
And the first learning place is with him. And he did. He showed up for her. He did what I needed him to do as a father so I can forgive what he didn't do for me. And I know that's probably stupid, but...
No, not at all. But you also have to realize, if someone didn't know you guys, they would swear you guys are in the honeymoon phase. Yeah. So the time that you have ahead of you is a lot more than what you had behind you. So if there were some bumps along the road, it doesn't really matter because those bumps made you who you are today, and you survived the worst tests, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, so from watching
we've
that.
gone through a lot.
Yeah. And that's why I say, like, we now have come to that conclusion. Like, he used to always tell me, if you can't leave me because if you get a boyfriend, I'm just going on y'all dates with you.
Yeah.
Like,
there you go.
Like, what movie we going to see?
So,
what restaurant? I don't want that.
right? So, like, we don't even stay. Honestly, I would say in the last 10 years or whatever years we've had now, we have probably been mad at each other for about 24 hours max. We just don't get into it too often, because if we do, I make a joke out of it or he makes a joke out of it, because we figure, why live in the anger?
So is that how you resolve conflict? And the better question is, how long does it take you to resolve conflict? Because we have our own formula, and I'm not sure if it's even a formula, but I found that there's a pattern. And I've recognized the pattern.
What's the pattern, Steph?
Generally, it's about 48 hours at least.
Oh, that's too long.
I know. So then, because I've actually come to that conclusion.
I am a very vengeful person.
Rightful, 10 toes down, stand on business.
I stand on business.
Yeah.
Like, I'm working on it, but don't cross me.
That's him.
But the problem, the issue with that is that no one wants to keep taking the first steps. Just like when you've mentioned in the past and you've said, I always have to say something when something's wrong. You'll be silent, and I recognize it and I go, she's right. Because initially my first thought was, if I'm dealing with something that I don't like, I just shut down. Mm-hmm. And it's a trigger for her, because that's not a good place, and that's not something she wants to have in her own household, like to be uncomfortable walking around because someone's just mad. So now I'm like, okay, cool, I'll say something, but I may not be able to talk about it right away. So here's my thing. I'm older, and I don't want to sound all morbid and shit, but there's more years behind me there than in front of me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I met you at an age where I feel like, God, I wish I met you at 25. Now, I sucked at 25. I was not a good boyfriend or not a good person. But I wish, in my mind, I imagine that you would have made me a better person, or at least pointed me in the right direction. So today I go, every time that we don't talk or something lingers, I'm literally just watching the clock. So when we have that fight, even if we don't have it immediately, I'm always going, damn, that was 12 hours. Now it's been 24. Now it's 2 days. And it just takes a toll on me. So I don't know what the answer is, but I guess what I'm asking is, how long do you guys take before you go, I don't care what's going on or how bad it is. This is the limit. We don't go more than 6 hours, 12 hours. Give each other time to cool off before we have to resolve it. Do you have that in your life?
It's no time clock per se for us. The way I look at it now is that I'm not going anywhere. I mean, I'm not finna be in the house upset with you. Let's go ahead and talk it out. If we can't, and let's just move forward, because it's more stressful for me to be upset with her. We can talk it out, because I'm not leaving. Okay, she's not leaving. I would rather us rectify the situation, talk through it, and be all right. So I don't want to go to bed mad. Really think about what you're mad at.
Right, it'd be something small.
It's not worth it, because and what the death that's been around us just taught me, you're here today, gone in a second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't want a second to go by to where if something happens to her or somebody and they die, I'm like, man, we were mad at each other when they died. I don't want that.
Yeah.
But I do know when not to push him any further. If he turns around and says, I'm done with this conversation, let him be. Let him process it. Let him figure out where his feelings are. And then I come back later, maybe an hour or two, and then explain
or
my
I
point.
come back. Once I calm down and I come back, and I can either say she was right or I still hold my stance. And it's a matter of just respecting each other and just know you're going to have disagreements. She had a life and a personality and all that before me. I have one, and we just learn to respect each other in those confinements or in those parameters.
Right.
And we're okay with it.
Like, there's certain things about me that he can't change. It drives him crazy. There are certain things about his personality that drives me crazy. And I always look at the glass half full type of person. And he does not give anybody the benefit of the doubt. Like, he is black and, like you said, black and white. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for him to trust people. So when he does trust somebody and they lose that trust, it triggers something in him. So he'll get frustrated with things. And I'm like, well, in hindsight, he like, no, that's not what I want to hear. Or if the kids don't communicate something, I'm learning, like, how to communicate with him better. Or we have to tell him certain things in a certain way. He doesn't hear it. Even though I thought I communicated well, he might not have received it. So I'm like, okay, learning lesson. Now let's put it in. That's why I told you earlier, I document everything with them. I put it in the family. I created a family text so everybody can go back to reference what I said, because I'm telling things on the fly. Because as a mother and a wife, I'm holding a lot of hats in the house. I'm doing a lot. And then I work all the time. So I'm like trying to make sure everybody's schedule is coordinated. Everybody's good. Everybody has eaten, knowing where everybody is. Like, they could be sitting in the house. He could be sitting right there with the kids, and my son would be ready to leave, and he'll be like, where Thomas going? I know he just walked past your office, but I'm not even at the house. why are you asking?
That's funny.
So they like literally tell dad this, or can you have dad
That's
look? And I'm
hilarious.
like, we have to have a whole discussion before they have the discussion so he can prepare himself for the discussion. And it's like, I'm good with that. I'm okay with that because it makes our house function better. Everybody gets out of their feelings. Everybody is level-headed. And if I have to play that role of neutral ground, I'll be the traffic director, but it keeps the peace.
Yeah.
I don't have that much energy to give people.
That's an interesting dynamic, but it works for you guys.
Yes.
Let me ask you this, and babe, feel free to jump in here with this response as well. What is one thing that marriage has taught you about yourself that you didn't know about yourself until being in the marriage itself?
That I can be submissive.
Yeah, based on everything you said earlier, I imagine you didn't know that you could even play that role.
No, I didn't trust myself to trust him enough to control our household. And I'll never forget our vows, and I hold firm to that, because one thing I told him, I said, you will be the foundation of our home. I wanted him to be that foundation. I knew it in my vows that I wanted to do it, but I wasn't living by that. I was just not submissive. But when we created that safe space for each other, I realized I can give him my all. I can let him tell me what his thoughts are and incorporate it in my life. I can listen to him. I can take his advice and truly apply it to my life. So,
how about yourself, Willie? What's something you just are now finding out about yourself that you learned through marriage?
I'm strong enough to handle the head of the household role. I didn't know that before. And I think, as I'm sitting here thinking, even though I saw my dad do it, he was just so much of a more incredible man, I guess, or a man's man than I was. I thought that I was.
Did he make it look effortless? Is that what it was?
He made it look like easy.
Yeah.
And now that I've made my life about my family, it made me realize that, hey, I'm strong enough. I can hold all of them up on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I take fatherhood, I take the husband role, I take it very, very seriously. I didn't know and I didn't think that I can share like that.
Right.
You know, it's nothing that she asked me for now that I wouldn't get. Like my dad, which I've always aspired to be, and knowing that I can do it and they respect me. They give me the respect of the man of the house and the dad. So they know when they come to talk to me, they know that, hey, first he's going to give me the advice that I need. They may not want to hear it and what I'm going to say, but I think that they value my input as being an influence in the house. And, you know, I really like that.
That's awesome, brother.
I really like that.
Zola?
Marriage has taught me patience.
I kind of feel accused. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep it together. I kind of feel like, all right, there's a big, giant magnifying glass on me right now.
No, just it really has, because I'm a very short person, short in tolerance, I should say. And marriage has taught me, to be patient and the importance of compromise, because typically for me, no means no. I don't necessarily go out of my way to absorb other people's discomfort, because your problem is your problem. I like my peace. So with marriage, I can't think that way, especially when it comes to my partner. When it comes to Steph, everything changes. You know, Steph gets a different side of me that the outside world doesn't get. Right. So within our relationship, those are the two things that marriage has really taught me. It's just patience and compromise. And it's not necessarily in a negative way. I mean, he was making fun of you for being a nerd. He's still a nerd to this second, right? So he's telling me shit that I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that, Steph?
It's awesome information.
No, stop. See, you see, I'm about to get started. So again,
Who doesn't want to know how far the
patience.
sun is?
Nobody want to know what.
How far is the sun?
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't give a shit. I hope it stay however far away it is, because it's hot
outside.
even that far.
Right? So again, patience.
Yeah.
So, typically I'd shut a conversation down like that, but this is my husband. I know this is him. So of course I have to, entertain it. I have to, so again, when I say patience, baby, I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean, yes, we have our ups and downs, but patience, because where I would, cut people short, I have that space for my husband.
Yeah.
And I low key like it, because that's a part of him that he's sharing with me that I know, I wouldn't say factually that not everyone else gets to see.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that quirky side of Steph. So again, it's just patience and compromise. It doesn't have to be negative.
Yeah.
This was a great conversation.
Yeah.
Totally enjoyed it. Thank you for being here. I think this will help a lot of people. Does anyone have one piece of advice for people who are in a relationship looking to get married?
I would say if you're marrying, thinking the person that you're marrying is going to be the person that is going to always show up for you, you're marrying for the wrong reasons. Because that person is going to grow. That person is going to evolve. It's your job to adjust your view of them. Who I married in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
I can't expect him to be that same man in 2025. For one, that doesn't show growth at all. And he wasn't ready for the things that we were going to face. So don't go into it saying, well, he used to do this for me, now he doesn't. Find out why. Communicate that for either side of the relationship and know that you need to adjust your viewpoint based off of that.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. Earlier today, my friend Willie, you lost.
Oh, you lost?
He lost the coin toss. So you get...
Okay.
You gonna do
All right,
glow?
so Willie,
Your Memphis accent.
you're going to do it with the Memphis accent and you're going to sound like Glorilla.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if you're not already following the show, then leave a 5-star review. What the fuck? It really helps us grow. If you find value in this episode, please share it with just one person.
No. You sound like Roots.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great weekend. Great week.
That was horrible.
That's it.
He said,